Hello everybody, my name is Benji and welcome back to Mindustry Exogenesis. Now, today, I mentioned a lot of things at the end of last episode, and today we're kind of gonna just continue along the same path that we were on anyway, because there's not really much else for me to do right now, and I want to show you guys kind of the process of how I'm actually doing things. So, we have so far produced ourselves copper, lead, metaglass, graphite. Of course, my phone is messing up. I have a list here. Titanium, thorium, astrolite, and valvanite. We still need to produce silica, plastanium, surge, jupiteum, altuxium, osmium, stellar steel. And then vulcanite is on Eric here, which we'll get back to eventually.tm. The mod creator, you know what, I'll go on ahead and sneak peek some things from my Discord server. The Discord server is down in the link in the description, just to let you guys know that that is a thing. So here in the Discord server, we talk a lot about Exogenesis mod and a couple of other things. So here's a sneak peek at some of the upcoming Exogenesis just mod content. So Eric here, tier 6 units are going to be coming. Here they are in all of their glory. The tier 6 tank, the tier 6 flyer, and the tier 6 mech unit. And you can kind of see the T1EB Atlas, the energy bomber. You can see the devastation that that is able to cause. And then down here, you can see here the T2RF Prometheus, the rolling fortress. So if you ever want to check out some early access sneak peeks from the mod creator, I'm assuming because of the fact that he put those in my Discord server, he's okay with me putting these out here. And yeah, if you ever want to see that, just stop by. But we're going to hold off on Eric here as a result of that, because I don't want to go and do Eric here things when that is so close along the horizon. So you may be wondering what the heck we're doing here and why the heck this zone is completely and entirely barren. And the reason why this zone is completely and entirely barren is because I went through and dismantled everything. Now, real quick, I guess I should probably go over here to Salt Flats. I got a comment from somebody saying that they use Salt Flats as a bridge for all of their materials. So they have all of their high production zones, like my Ground Zero, Overgrowth, and Biomass Synthesis facility, and they send it all to Salt Flats, where they then send it to all the different other zones that they need to. So this core will just have belts upon belts upon belts upon belts coming out of it in the near future. Right now it's just going to sit idle until I can place a bunch of vaults around it and upgrade it to the nucleus core for more space and storage. But then this is going to be our major hub of launching from. 133, on the other hand, doesn't have a ton of sand. I mean, it's got a bit, but it's like all the way down here. It doesn't have a lot of like big open space like a couple of other zones have that I would much rather utilize for stuff like high throughput silica processing and other things like that. So we're not going to worry about that right now. What we are going to worry about is stellar steel, because stellar steel is a little bit interesting. Stellar steel takes astrolite and titanium, which is just graphite, which is just coal and titanium. This is stellar steel, and silica as a byproduct. Now, then, this silica we will be able to take in and turn into something else that uses silica, because I don't want that to be my main export of silica. It won't be enough throughput. I want that to be a way for us to get other materials. And those other materials that I'm going to want are going to be, specifically for this zone, altuxium and possibly osmium, because the ton forge doesn't need a whole ton of silica ratioed to the osmium. It's a 1-to-1 on the lead, and it's a 1-to-2 silica. So for every 1 silica that we get out, we can get 2 osmium instead. Meaning that if we end up producing, let me grab the stellar furnace again, if we end up producing a full titanium belt of stellar steel, which would end up being 12 per second of the stellar steel, then we would end up getting 6 per second of the silica, which is a full belt of the osmium. And then the rest of the silica can go toward, you know, the altoxium. And then if I remember correctly, 1 belt of titanium goes to 2. So that's going to be the main thing that we're trying to do today. I already have a blueprint for the stellar steel right here. And I kind of want to test it again because I feel like it's not at the same caliber that it can. Because the titanium conveyor can support 11 items a second, which is basically 12 items a second. Like, just, it's basically 12 items a second. So I feel like I should be more than capable of just putting this on it, and then doing that, and then we can have our export of silica and our export of stellar steel. But then we're gonna need 6 per second of the astrolite, and each of these produces 1.5, so we're actually gonna end up with something more along of this, and we can just do that instead. Like this, this, this. And then these guys, let's take a look here. These take 1.5 each, so that would end up being 3, and this produces 4 per second. Very nice. And same thing there. That should just about do it for us. So let me go on ahead and hook this up into the power grid here. And then hook up our actual resource lines. Give me a second for this. This will be boring. And up and running. Yep, except for that belt. This is not quite a full belt in. Lackluster test if I don't fast. 6. And what's the issue here? This needs 6 per second and 6 per second. There should not be an issue. Looks like there's not. Now, since we're testing, what we'll do is just grab an incinerator. Just do that. I'm interested to see what happens once this titanium backup goes away. And we may have a new stellar steel blueprint on our hands. Looks like this one is ever so slightly behind, and I think that is because of the fact that this is supposed to be a 12 per second belt, but it's actually an 11 per second belt. I wish the titanium belts were that high, but they are not. So I think, yeah, we have a new stellar steel blueprint. Stellar steel T3, I think it would be. And then give the exo tag. I'll make sure that's up in the Discord. Now that we have that, I pretty much just need to find an area that has a high concentration of titanium and coal, which it looks like it's actually going to be the area that we're at right now. There's coal, 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 titanium. Titanium, coal, titanium, and yeah, so this will take a full belt of coal and a full belt of titanium. There's also more coal over here. Actually, this might be a better... No, I think this is going to be the area that we want doing this. So let me go on ahead, get this all set up and routed and belted in. Show it off, and then we can start doing... Well, I'll go on ahead and just do the altoxium myself. I don't really see a reason that that needs to be shown off to you guys, because of the fact that the altoxium is simple 2 input, 1 output of copper and silica. So, give me a little bit. I'll be back. Welcome back. It's spaghetti! I'm a chef. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but it's my mess, and I love it. Just like my space exploration save in Factorio. I think it's working pretty much in exactly the capacity that it needs to. We have a whole bunch of different lines of titanium. There's a mine here, there's a mine here, there's a mine here, and there's a mine way up there. And they all come to a central vault. Same with the coal. There's one there, there's one there, there's one down there. They all come to a central vault to get balanced. And then once that balancing occurs, they go into their respective machinery areas. The titanium goes through to the titanium, the coal goes through to the graphite, then the astrolite, and into the stellar steel. Then the stellar steel automatically gets balanced against the silica so that it can actually get sorted out pretty much instantaneously within the same blueprint. And the silica and the stellar steel go along the side here to get balanced. Then, once they are balanced, the stellar steel goes into their launch pads, which gets sent over to salt flats. And then our silica goes over to here and gets made into altuxium, which also gets sent off to salt flats. And just in case, for some odd reason, this ever ends up getting, completely and entirely backed up, where the silica doesn't stop the stellar steel from being produced, we allow it to just go into an incinerator straight off of the bat, which I think is actually a really neat idea, and I'm quite glad that I decided to do that. So there it all is, nice and simple, nice and easy. Now there is one more thing that I would like to do on this planet. I just have to look and see if it's even possible, because I'm using all of the coal in this area already, so I don't necessarily want to have to make any sort of silica. There's a little bit of coal, there's some there and there's some there, but I was thinking about having myself some osmium production on this zone as well. There's some lead here, there's some lead down there, and I think that's enough to get a full belt off of. And osmium isn't something that we're gonna need 2 belts of, I don't. Maybe we will. There's some more titanium over there. I think we can get 2 belts of titanium out of this, for sure. Because the osmium, as we were discussing earlier, is a 1-to-1 on the lead to osmium relationship. So I think we are going to end up setting up osmium on this. I'm going to tap these 3 silica nodes. And let me go on ahead and grab my osmium tier 1 blueprint over here. And we will have it meet up just like this. Shit. I keep doing that. I've been playing so much Factorio lately as, like, my primary factory game that every single time that I am done with something, I end up hitting Q, like that. I end up hitting Q out of habit because Q is the, like, pipette tool, I guess, whereas middle mouse is the pipette tool here. Really need to standardize my controls in all honesty. But these guys produce at a rate of 1.4 per second. We're aiming for 12 per second. Divide by 1.4 gives us 8 machines. So we're going to want 8 machines on a row like this. That will give us 6, and that gives us the last 2. So here's where all of these guys are going to be at the end. I'm just going to bring them both up like this. We're going to counterbalance them against one another. We're going to grab these guys and plop them down. Also going to have to keep an eye on my power. And I might honestly just go on ahead and make some thorium reactors, because there's so much thorium and excess titanium, especially up here in this top left corner. So I think I will do that as well. And I have a blueprint for that. It's under the power thorium reactor right there. Very nice and compact. It's only 9 wide. And it's stackable in length. So that's pretty nice as well. This video is going to start to get long if I keep explaining everything I'm going to do. So the next thing that we're going to do is we need to find a place to prioritize our silica. Plastanium production is going to be prioritized on tar fields. I'm not even going to bother to show that. I'll just show it off when it's done, because that's pretty fucking simple. Then the osmium, we're already getting it done. Jupiteum. Jupiteum requires a 1-to-1 ratio of silica as well as thorium. Now, that's going to be a little bit of a pain in my butt, because the only places that actually have thorium are currently using all of their thorium. I guess we could make Jupiteum on tar fields, though, with the plastanium, because the rest of the thorium will be perfectly fine. I'd rather not make the Jupiteum on this planet because or on this zone, because it's going to be a real pain in the butt on space with the silica and everything in this area, and also it's going to be a pain in routing. So we'll plan for that. We'll plan for Jupiteum on tar fields along with the plastanium. We're going to plan for silica and silica only. Yeah, silica and silica only to be produced at Ruinous Shores, because Ruinous Shores has a ton of silica, or a ton of silica. It will have a ton of silica. It has a ton of sand. It has a ton of space. It has a ton of lead, and it has a ton of coal. Like, look at this. This is made for silica production. And so, we will make silica production there. So I'm just going to shut my fat mouth here. I'm going to go on ahead and build everything, and then I'm going to pop in, and I'm going to show it all at the end. Then next time we can finally move on to some actual new progress stuff. So give me like 2 hours, and I'll be back. Well, good news is my estimate was right. It's been about 2 hours. Maybe an hour and a half. Maybe an hour and 45 minutes. You get the point. It took a while to get to this point, but I think that it has been fruitful, and I'm quite happy with the fact that it has been fruitful. Everything is done in terms of resource production, with the exception of the more advanced ones. Surge alloy, Vanstarium steel, Lumionite alloy, other things of that nature, which right now are only those 3. Everything else has been entirely produced and is now being sent back to Salt Flats. And you can see Salt Flats has a line coming from Ground Zero. Ground Zero is where we're using our copper and our lead, which is being sent back. I think also our Valvanite, right? No, not our Valvanite. I don't remember where our Valvanite's. I know it is being produced. Over here, biomass synthesis facility. Oh, this is where the Valvanite's. So graphite, Valvanite, silica, or metaglass for the kilns are now being here. So those very good. That. Over here at, let's keep doing the ones that we've already done. Overgrowth is astrolite, titanium, and thorium. Then our newest zone, 133, is launching our stellar steel, altuxium, and osmium. Are all in very high demand. Our newest zone is Ruinous Shores, which is only launching silica, but is launching 3 titanium belts of silica, which is very, very... we already went to Extraction Outpost. Windswept Islands is also doing a little bit of silica production, but not much silica production. And then Tarfields is now launching Plastanium, which I am using the Plastanium press, which is 2 blueprint that will be up on the Discord soon. And we are also launching a very, very, very small amount of Jupiteum, just because it doesn't really have that big of a purpose, and my thorium production is barely able to keep up with what we're already doing, as well as providing power to the zone. The benefit of the Plastanium press versus the normal Plastanium processor is the fact that it's a 1-to-1 on the titanium. In terms of the oil, I think it is actually less expensive or more expensive? 15-to-1, which is a lot, but this is 72-to-6. So let me do some quick math here. 72 divided by 6 is 12. So it is actually less oil to Plastinium than the previous ratio for the benefit, or for the detriment of having to put lead in as well. Which, honestly, not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal in the slightest. So just to prove again, back to research, we have copper, lead, metaglass, graphite, titanium, thorium, silica, plastanium, astrolite, jupitium, altuxium, osmium, and stellar steel, and valvanite. Vulcanite is only showing up on Serpulo because of before the update. Beryllium, same thing. Lumionite, same thing. And beryllium, same thing. It's because of deconstructing things, build costs, yada yada. It's a little bit of a glitch, but it's fine. I might go through and try to fix that. I don't really care for it though, so I'm not too worried about that. We are going to hold off on Eric here for the meantime because of the fact that Eric here is going to go through some changes, like we talked about earlier. Or if that ended up getting edited out, it's going through some changes and you'll find out soon. The Elysian doesn't really have too much for us to do. We could technically do the Divinity Core, we could research a couple of things, but nothing super big deal there. Everything in the Genesux faction is currently locked behind Beryllium, which we can find on Terraformed, which might be next time. Everything in the Quantra is kind of the same thing, locked behind Lumionite, locked behind Stanium, locked behind other things. The MRT conveyor will be super cool, the irradiation kiln will be super cool once we get there as well. We do have the Gamma Radiation Forge, which we'll start to use to get stuff like Lumionite alloy and other composites like that. And then the Soltux again has to do with Primordium iron and a couple of other things. It looks like the thermal is still glitched. It looks like everything else is proper though, including the Soltux Bulwark, which is something that I interesting. I'm gonna have to definitely look into that as well. But everything else on here is just essentially time. And then Serpulo, we have a couple more things like the Alloy Kiln, which is just a better version of the Alloy Smelter, the Surge Alloy Smelter. The Gigavolt Forge, which is just a better way to make Vanstarium steel. The Dismantler, which gives us a whole bunch of stuff for slag. And then we have some new stuff that we'll have to look at eventually, such as the Crystallian Core, or I don't know how else to say that, the Nuclei Oven, the Zanium Crucible, and then there's also the Kiloton Forge, which is just a better way to get osmium, but I didn't really care for the blast of that. And then there is the Jupitium reactor, which is just Jupitium and cryofluid for a pretty decent boost of power, which is producing some Jupitium. And then we also have a whole ton of turrets to unlock. So basically what I'm going to do now that I have like 2 titanium belts of every single resource, just about, give or take, I might have 1 titanium belt of a resource or 2, like Jupitium, and some other things along those sorts of natures. I'm literally just going to time warp through some things. I'll be completely honest. I'm just gonna time warp through things. And essentially that's just gonna be that. I'm gonna time warp through things, go on ahead and disconnect everything here. That way it just stops and backs up, which I think will be very handy. And I'm just going to go through and unlock everything. Next episode, we have a couple of options. I could do Coastline myself because it's a pretty easy zone overall. I think it has some thorium on it, so that might be a good spot to do don't know. Vanstarium steel doesn't need it. I don't think lumionite alloy needs it. That might be a good spot to do some more Jupiteum. I don't really know. It might be a good spot to do some more Jupiteum. I'm not really going to have to worry about much else, so I'll probably end up doing that off camera. But then we have Impact 0078 and Terraform. Terraformed is extreme threat, and I think I'm going to want some Surge alloy and other things being produced and shipped in before we end up doing. So next time I think we're going to check out 0078 and a couple of the new materials, including but not limited to probably doing an upgrade for some Surge and getting a zone actually producing Surge. And then we can start focusing on some things like the installation core and the nuclei oven, which is thorium and pyrite. And then the Zanium Crucible, Plastanium, and Silica. Well, we've got some things to look into. So next time is going to be all about the new materials and some of that kind of stuff. But for now, that is going to be it. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. But without further ado, adios, sayonara, au revoir, hasta la vista, das vidania, wiedersehen, ciao, and goodbye. Please have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Get some sleep if you need to. Don't forget to stay hydrated. This video is in the bag. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, y'all.